Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with CPO's big box at last of Michael Haydn's complete symphonies and wind concertos and other goodies. There's 16 CDs in here, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it looks like 16 CDs. This series was originally recorded way back at some of CPO's earliest recordings, or one of its earliest big projects, I think. This is, let's see. Let me see if I could find a date here or something like that for when they started, because I remember reviewing these things for like a variety of publications way back in the day. And I mean, way before ClassicsToday.com got started. I mean, there's no question about that. So, who's doing what, and what do we got here? Oh, wow. No, they don't say here, but at the end they must. You've got to have a thingy that says when all this stuff came out. Oh, yes, here we go. See, 1991, 92, 91. Okay, it started back in like 91, 92, and ended around 2012, somewhere in there. Now, Michael Haydn was 5 years younger than the famous Haydn, and he died 3 years before the more famous Haydn. He had a similar career path. They both went to St. Stephen's in Vienna, where they were trained as musicians, and Michael Haydn had a successful career. He's most famous because people think, or thought for a long time, that Mozart's 37th Symphony was Mozart's, but it turned out to be Michael Haydn's Symphony No. 25. He wrote like 41 symphonies, somewhere in there, almost the same number as Mozart, at least if you're numbering. And it turned out that Mozart had only written the introduction to that symphony. The rest of it was all by Michael Haydn. And everyone thought it was Mozart. It was Kerschel 444, actually. And so, it just goes to tell you that there is, it's not so simple when you're dealing with lesser productions by the great composers. Although, Symphony 37 would have been a late Mozart symphony, wouldn't it? And it confused everybody. So Michael Haydn was a good composer. If everybody thinks he could be really good late Mozart, yes, he was a good composer. He wasn't as good as his brother. He didn't have the same wit, the same formal invention and whatnot, but he wrote good, solid classical music. He's best known, or his real strength was in sacred music. He worked in Salzburg. He had Mozart's old job, working for the Archbishop of Salzburg, and he wrote something like 47 masses, lots of them, and other liturgical works. And even his brother thought that Michael was really his forte was sacred music. And a lot of it's been recorded now, so you can go and hear it yourself. His own Requiem probably influenced Mozart's Requiem. Mozart knew his music well because of the Salzburg connection, at the very least. So he's worth hearing. He's one of those second-tier composers of the classical period, but a good one. And these performances are quite good. And the wind concerti are a lot of fun, actually. And there's like other stuff in here that's worth hearing. So let me just sort of tell you how it works here. These aren't like original jackets. They all look like that. So you've got piles and piles of symphonies, mostly with the Slovak Chamber Orchestra under a Bohdan Varchal. That's, one of your favorite people there. And let's see, we have the Divertimento. There's some Divertimenti, along with some symphonies. There's some incidental music, which is really fun. Let's see what else we've got. I'm just going to go through this really quickly, because I did cover like all the individual releases when these were coming out, and it was a lot of fun. There are 3 marches. We have 3 little teeny marches that are appended to one of the batch of symphonies. There is the Notroyes, incidental music to Voltaire's Zaire. Remember Zaire? Mozart did a Zaire, Zaid, or something like that. Well, anyway, it's one of those exotic Asian things, and it's lots of fun. It's a big score, 27 minutes, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movements. So it's some hefty and substantial music, and very colorful. Then we've got a couple notturnos, the Notturno Solenne, solemn nocturne, which is It's a divertimento or partita. They're all called the same things. It always means the same thing, sort of a light, diverting, charming thing. And let's see, there's a nocturne in F major and a divertimento in C major for violin and cello as soloists, and basso continuo, variations in C major for piano, divertimento in E flat for viola, cello, and double bass, the divertimento in D major for two violins, viola, and basso continuo. There are those things. It's very, very charming, pleasant music, full of good tunes. Then we've got the concerti, and the last two, the wind concerti, which are really kind of cool, actually. We've got a concertino for clarinet, a concertino for horn, a concertino for trombone. He wrote solo trombone music in a very, very early period. Flute concerto, a trumpet concerto, another horn concerto, another flute concerto, a concertino for trombone in F major. It's only 5 minutes long. It's one movement. A concertino for trumpet, and another one for horn and trombone in D major from his Serenade, Perger 887. There are all kinds of catalog numbers for Michael Haydn. There's a concertino for bassoon and a romance for horn in A flat. So this is all enjoyable stuff. And that's with Salzburger Hofmusik under Wolfgang Brunner. And we also have some things, some of the divertimenti and whatnot are with the Deutsche Kammerakademie Neuss am Rhein with Johannes Goretzky and Frank Biermann and Lavard good Lord, Lavard Skularsson. There we go. I knew I'd get through it somehow. But in any case, it's a lot of music. It's 16 discs of Michael Haydn. Now, some people might find that a bit excessive. I don't. I think that it's definitely worth exploring. If you enjoy music, let me put it back here, of the classical period, then this is a guy you're going to want to explore. And it's fun to pull these out one disc at a time over at your leisure, whenever you feel like it, and hear how Haydn's brother sounded, and ask yourself, what was the classical style? What made Mozart Mozart? What made Haydn Haydn? And where does he fit in? He's up there with Boccherini and some of these other guys who really, really ought to be played and who wrote quality music that does not deserve to be perpetually neglected. I would like to see more performances of these things, and they're available and published now, so you can do it. The lack of a serious edition or publication and scores and parts was always a problem when it comes to these composers. But once you get them, cataloged and organized properly, then there's nothing to prevent you from actually performing it. And you can hear it first and then make your choice. So people who are looking for lovely works for chamber orchestra that aren't the same old should really investigate Michael Haydn. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me, and take care.